What's up, guys? If you've been around this podcast for a while, you know that I've spent majority of my career in the beauty industry. Well, all of my career in the beauty industry, 19 years to be exact. And if you've listened to a few of these, you know that I'm really passionate about helping other anxious creatives make waves in their business, to actually overcome that overwhelm, that stress, that anxiety, that frustration of getting taken advantage of by your clients. That feeling like you don't actually have control over your business and you have these big dreams and these goals, but you just don't feel like you can do them. I get it. I've so been there. And that's why I created this podcast. And that's why I created my online programs as well. You may have heard me talk about Rock Your Consultation or Rock Your Business. These are programs that I've created specifically for you to help you in your journey, help you avoid the trial and error and the defeat and the failures that I've had to go through in my career. So today I have a very special guest on here. It is one of my Rock Your Business alumni, but that is not her only thing. Holy cow, this girl is on fire. I feel like I should sing Alicia Keys. This girl is on fire. No, I should stick to my day job, right? But literally, you're going to be so inspired, so blown away, not only by the things that she's doing in her business, but what she's overcome in her life as well. So I know I say buckle up every week, but really buckle up and get ready for an amazing episode with my friend and my Rock Your Business family member, Jody. I overthink, I overshare, and I overanalyze. So come explore with me as I chat about business, life, and relationships, all through the lens of an anxious creative. All right, you guys, I have a special treat for you today. I am with Jodie Brown. She is a hairstylist for the past 15 years. She's also a Rock Your Business alumni family member. And she has just recently become not just recently, but she is I'm going to start that all over. That's terrible.
Okay.
Hey guys, I am here with Jodie Brown. She is a hairstylist, a brand strategist, and an Instagram educator, as well as a Rock Your Business alumni member. Welcome, Jody.
Hi.
I'm so glad to have you on the podcast.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for asking me.
Yeah, so let's get into who you are and what you're all about, because I feel like people like hear, oh, like hairstylist, but like brand strategist, wow, I'm saying that too fast. Brand strategist, Instagram educator. What does that mean?
So basically what I do is I help beauty professionals leverage their online presence to create like a consistent brand. And also I educate them about how to properly use Instagram, but without all the overwhelm. Like without all that, oh, I need to churn out 14 pieces of content per day in order to be productive. Like I want people to kind of experience the benefits without all the overwhelm that is associated.
I like that. You know that I'm all about that.
Yes.
I'm always talking about like, don't use social media if you don't like it.
Mm-hmm. And you can outsource it too, right?
Yeah, totally. Like it's good. There's a lot of teaching around like you need to be posting this many times. I remember when I first started with Instagram, I loved it, and then I became addicted to it, and then it caused all sorts of problems in my life. So how long have you been a hairstylist?
Like 15 years, and my mom was a salon owner before then, so I teethed on perm rods basically.
I love that. That's so good. So you could be like, I've been a hairstylist my whole life.
Yeah, I did my first set of foils with a box of Blondissima and a pencil when I was 11. So
oh wow, I love that.
True story. You can ask my friend Katie.
Yeah, that's like legit. Right before we started recording, I was saying to Jody, like, it's like when you're on your first day of doing hair and the client's like, how long have you been doing hair? And you like, a year, because you count your school.
Yeah.
But you could have been like, if you started when you're 18, you could be like 7 years. That was 11.
Yeah.
I love totally. That. So walk me through the journey of going from being a hairstylist to then expanding into a brand strategist and Instagram educator.
Okay, so I've been for a long time. When I came back off maternity leave, Instagram for the hair community was just kind of coming out. And I just thought it was so cool to be able to kind of share and create in a different way, because I'm at the core just like a creator. Like I love to create pretty things. So I started just taking photos of my work, and I noticed that it was getting me new clients. So I really dove in and tried to get educated, and then a lot of my friends would ask me for advice on how they could like improve their Instagrams and all that kind of thing. So I used it in my personal business for the entire time. So that I've been off maternity leave. So like 5 years. And then one of my girlfriends one day posted like, hey, is anyone a like web designer or like a social media manager? And I was like, well, I'm not, but I can do whatever you need. And she's like, oh, I want to rebrand my business and like hire someone to do my social media. And I was like, I'll do that. So I just kind of dove right in and took her through the whole thing. And as I was telling her things, you know when you do something and you think everyone just knows it because you know it. So as I was telling her all this stuff, she's like, oh my God, really? Like, wow, that's so cool. And it just kind of clicked in my head that not everyone knows this stuff. And then I was at one of your classes actually, and I remember someone asked a question about social media, and the resounding like comment in the room was that people were so overwhelmed by it. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like, oh, and you were like, oh, I'm not really the social media person, but yeah, everyone's like, oh, I'm just so overwhelmed. Like I hate Instagram. And I was like, oh, like I hate that people feel this way because I love Instagram and what it's been able to do for me. And I'm an anxious person. So like, it's not like I was like, you know, some rock star, and it was hideous when I first started, but I just thought it was so cool what we could achieve and like the connections we could make. So that's when I decided to dive in.
I love that. Was that just that was at that class that that's so cool. So cool. Sorry. I'm like talking in code. Only because I don't want to ruin the rest of the podcast. So Jody and I's relationship, I'm going to walk you through the steps of our relationship. So we first met virtually like last 2019 in the fall.
I think so. Yeah. Maybe in the fall for sure.
So I want to hear a little bit about your personal story, because I know you've shared a little bit with me, and if you're okay with sharing, like, tell me, where were you at in life back in you know, August, September 2019?
Okay, so I was coming off of probably like the worst few years of my life, not work-wise, but I talked about how I came back off maternity leave. So I came back off maternity leave and we got married, bought a house, like did all this super fun stuff. And I was so excited. And then about a year after we got married, we started trying to have another baby. And we tried for about a year, and it was just not happening. So I thought like, oh, it's going to be something little. So I went to go see my doctor, and they diagnosed me like immediately with secondary infertility. So the definition of that is like, you've been trying for a year, you're not pregnant, you're infertile.
Wow.
So we started, like I remember going for this test, and my OB was like, yeah, just like come to the hospital and whatever, it's super not like painful. And I just remember like laying there in this room, and this is like one of my lowest moments ever. And I just like was like thinking about how like I couldn't get pregnant, like all this stuff, and it was like my fault. And I had this like dye test done, and it was like so painful. I was alone in this room, and these people were talking about like how weird this fallopian tube is so like distorted or something. And they were just saying these like horrible things as if I wasn't even a person, as if I like wasn't even there. It was an actual nightmare. And then I did like 4 rounds of fertility drugs. Gained like 45 pounds. So I was so depressed, and I worked really hard to lose it after my son. So that was something that was really difficult for me as well. And then finally I went in for surgery, and I woke up from the surgery, and I remember I was supposed to have 3 like cuts basically. And there was 1. And I was like, what's going on? Why is there only 1? And he's like, oh, your test showed up wrong. Everything's actually fine. And I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm not pregnant. This has been like, it had been like 2 and a bit years at this point. I was like, yeah, I don't really know what to tell you. Like, everything's fine. So then they finally decided to test my husband. And it turned out that he had this like super rare condition that basically was like a vasectomy. Like he was not,
Wow.
yeah. So it was from like something when he was like way earlier. So you produce, it was basically the whole time, it was that he couldn't have kids anymore,
Wow.
which was so crazy. So after all this stuff, like we started talking about in vitro, we started talking about all these things, and I was so obsessed with it. Like everything was going great at work, and I would come home after work and I would just like crawl into bed and I would just cry. And I like on the weekends, like I wouldn't like leave my room. Like I was not even able to participate in my existing child's childhood because I was so consumed with my depression about my inability to have another baby. And so it was just horrible. I get like choked up talking about it. It was such a tough experience. And I felt like, I mean, I have quite a few friends who are suffering with infertility who don't have any kids. So I felt like I couldn't talk about it, like, and like share about it, because there were other people who had it worse and like had, couldn't have kids at all. And that was what everyone would always say. Well, at least you have Mason, at least you have Mason. So that was, yeah, honestly, the worst time of my life. And it probably looked like from the outside, like everything was perfect. Like I had this gorgeous little, gorgeous little toddler, and like my career was going really well. And, like my husband is my best friend. Like we've known each other forever. So yeah, it was just crazy that like, I don't know, my whole mindset was just so negative, I guess. So when and also while all this was going on, anyone that lives in Alberta, my husband's an iron worker. So the recession came down and all of a sudden there was no work for him.
Oh,
so I was also the sole provider for my family at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's where I was coming off of.
Yeah. And I really hear, like, I know I've been in places before. I haven't had the same scenario or struggle, but where you feel like you're feeling so much pain and so much hurt, but you're minimizing your own pain because you think other people have it worse. And I remember Nick once saying to me, like, Dawn, like, your pain is valid. I'm going to get choked up. But like, realizing that like whatever we're both gonna end up crying, whatever you're going through, you're allowed to feel it fully, and it doesn't take away or minimize what someone else is going through.
For sure.
But yet we don't allow ourselves to feel things fully because we think, well, like you're like, well, I do have a child, and like those people don't, or whatever Absolutely. It is that you're currently going through.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a lot. That's heavy, and that's a lot to carry. So then, you're being the sole provider. And is that right around the time you joined Rock Your Business?
Yeah.
Like, were you the sole provider and you invested in this education?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I just felt like I couldn't continue the way, like I was at my breaking point. And it was just, and then my husband too, like would get called away at the last minute, he would go on like a shutdown. So then I would have all this stuff booked, and all of a sudden I had to find a day home that would keep my son till 8:00 at night. So right. I think one of the days before I signed up for the program, I was like sitting there with my child in the bathtub at like 9:00 at night, because I just picked him up, feeding him a peanut butter sandwich while I'm washing him to try and get him ready for bed. And I was just like, I can't go on like this anymore. Like, I can't continue. This is not an attainable, not a sustainable like way of living anymore. So that was, yeah. So when I saw and I was making like good money, it's just, it wasn't like, it wasn't enough that we didn't care about money, you know what I mean? So when I saw your program and just how like real you were, I felt like I was like, you could meet me where I was at. And that's why it was so important for me to find a way to invest in the program. And I had to do a payment plan. I couldn't afford to buy it up front at the time. Yeah. So yeah.
And how do you feel now that you're months after taking it?
Oh my God. If you would have told me that I could feel this way at that time, I would have been like, ha, like there's no way. So it was like I felt like the program instantly helped me like shift my mindset a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a huge part of being able to kind of start to create balance. I added online booking to my schedule too, which, because that's another thing, you get home and you've worked all day, and I'm putting my baby to bed and I'd like lay in bed and I'd be like, okay, now I gotta respond to all these text messages.
Yeah. And hairstylists don't count that at work as work.
No. So if you think about it, you're working what, like 13, 14-hour days?
Yeah. It's not
Like,
worth it.
no, and it's not like you can text people all back at the same time. Like it's like, oh, you text them and then you wait for their response to see if they want that appointment. And it's like, so yeah, that I added online booking, and that was like an instant weight off of my shoulders. So
I love that. So, okay, so that was September, and you take Rock Your Business. Now, be completely honest with me. Were you able to keep up with it week to week, or did you, like, you have it for forever, so you can go back, but working so much, having your husband go away from times, having a child, did you sit down each week and make time to go through it, or did you fall behind at any points? I have a follow-up question to this, so that's why.
I definitely fell behind. And then I actually, when you opened it the next time, I emailed Elena and I was like, hey, I know you guys probably don't normally do this, but like, is there any way I can join like the next one? Because I'm so behind, I feel like I can't catch up. And yeah.
I think, and that's what I love is like, because I wanted to, like, I was hoping that that's what you would say, because I think a lot of times when people are like looking at programs and like considering investing in themselves, they're like, they have like the intention that they're like, I'm going to sit down like for the 2 hours a week and I'm going to do my homework. And then week 3 hits and some of the excitement's worn off, and then real life happens, and we can't predict what's going to happen in the future. And then you get behind, and I know I've done it where I beat myself up and I'm like, well, I clearly just not cut out for the things that I wanted to get out of this. But I love that you fell behind because life happens, and then you're like, no, I'm going to pick myself back up. I'm going to follow through on it. I love that it's like, it's there forever. And people can always go back once you've gotten the program. It's not, it's not something that you have to continually pay for forever. Once you've paid for it, you've got it, and you can go back and you've got the community. So I love that. Okay. So then fast forward, we're talking about Jody and I's relationship, if you guys have forgotten. So we met when you were thinking about, we virtually met when you were thinking about joining Rock Your Business. You were not in a great place. You decided to take the plunge, invest in yourself, believe in yourself. My quote that I say is like, you head in the direction of what you believe is possible. So your beliefs are a compass. And so it's not that just believing something will make it happen on its own. That's why I kind of call bullshit on manifestation, is because like just hoping for something won't make it happen. It means you actually take steps. And if you're looking over here and trying to walk this way, for those of you that are listening to this, you can't see what I'm doing, but if you're watching it on YouTube, you can see. But if you're looking one way and trying to walk the other, you inadvertently just start curving the way you're looking. And so people are like, I can have that, but I don't think that I can. And like that whole, when you say like the mindset, you have to change the mindset before you start doing the practical things. Otherwise the practical things won't stick. And that's what I've loved seeing with you over the last few months. So fast forward, I was coming to Edmonton to teach a class in the beginning of March, right before, I think COVID was a word we had kind of heard, but like didn't really, you're hearing about it. Like, I don't really remember being nervous about it by any means. I wasn't sanitizing my hands nearly as much. Anyway, so I was going to Edmonton, and I still had, a few spaces in my class, and you just like literally just popped into my mind. I was like, Jody. And I was like, I think, did I DM you on Instagram?
Yes. Yeah.
And I just wanted to I wanted to make her know that I would love to have her in class. So I reached out to her personally and was like, hey, Jody, like, I'm going to share my perspective, and then you share my experience on my end, and then you share yours. Cause I had no idea until you shared it. And I was like, you know what? Jody's she was such a participant in the community. Like, I saw your name always coming up in the Rock Your Business community. Like, I was really familiar with who you are because of how active you were and how much you were taking action and sharing with the group, and not only sharing your experiences, but helping. And so my mind was like, oh yeah, Jody's in Edmonton. I should invite her to come join the class. And so I just like sent a DM being like, hey, you came to mind. I just thought of you. Like, I'd love to have you in the class. And you just were like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. Like, this is such a wonderful invitation. And then you decided to come. And yeah, and then I was like, that's really cool. It'd be great to actually meet you in person, because we had done the virtual meet. I had seen you inside of Rock Your Business, but we had never actually met. And so to me, it was just like, oh yeah, I should invite Jody. And then you came, and it was great. It was wonderful. And I was like, I feel like we've known each other for so long. That's my side of it. And then when you like weeks later shared with me your side, it was such like a cool cosmosis. No, that's not the right word. Cosmic,
yes.
cosmic, cosmosis, cosmetology, cosmic thing that I thought was so neat. And I would love if you shared it with everyone, if you're open to.
Okay, I will share, and I will preface this by saying, I think when I'm looking back on like how I got where I'm going, I'm going to be like, this was the defining moment. Okay, so when I got Dawn's DM, I had just finished a bar class, and I was sitting in my car, bawling my eyes out, trying to figure out how I could calm down to drive home. I can't remember what the actual situation had been. I think either my husband had just gotten laid off or he hadn't been working for a while, one of the two. So, and I was literally just like, I'm working my ass off here and I am not sorry. Can I say that?
Yeah.
And,
you can say anything.
And I'm like not getting ahead. And I was literally just like, I don't know. Cause like, again, like I was, trying to make all the money, and it isn't his fault. My husband would take any job, but it was just like, we were just in such a bad place. And I was literally just sitting there like, woe is me. Like I FaceTime my dad and I was like so upset. I just could not calm down. Which is not like, I'm a crier, but that it was like, it was one of those like my world is crashing moments.
Yeah, like the weight of the world was on your shoulders.
Yeah, and I was probably sitting there crying for like a solid like 45 minutes. I actually drove to a different place in the parking lot so that the person I was at bar with like wouldn't see me.
I've done that. I've totally done that.
Yeah, and so then I got off the phone with my dad and I was just like, when I was like having a little scroll through Instagram and I got your DM and I was just like, this is like a sign. Like I looked up to you for so long. Obviously I'd made the changes in Rock Your Business, and I'd had these like, wins and from implementing the program, and I just like felt like I had to go. And I was at a place where I was like, any invitation, any social invitation, I'd just be like, no, like I can't. It was just like I was avoiding people at all costs because I was so depressed in that moment too. So yeah, that was the moment where I started to change and address the problems I was having.
So what made you say yes to the invitation?
I don't even know. It was just like, I felt like I had to. Like, it just felt like and this is even before I was like really that into like the whole, like the universe, like power of the universe stuff, which I 100% believe in now. But yeah, so I just felt like I had to, like, it was like not even a question. I didn't even think about yes or no. I was just like, oh my God, yes, I have to. Like, so, and then I stopped crying and then I drove home and told my husband, so.
Oh, that's so cool. And then since then, I would say, would it be a month or 2 months later that
was in March.
Yeah. And then you were ready for some more high level coaching.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's chat about that. So, cause now you are part of a mastermind group that I host, yes. Is that the right word? Coach? Yeah. I hate the word. We were just talking about this before.
Facilitate.
Facilitate. I feel like coach means like above, and I like to be like alongside.
For sure.
But yeah, because I've seen your business completely like change and grow, and not only your business, but you as a person, your confidence, your like aura, the way you hold yourself is completely different. And so share with me a little bit about joining this high level mastermind group and the friendships you found there. what you've learned and grown, and what are the differences you've found between it and Rock Your Business?
Oh my goodness. Like, what hasn't changed since I joined the mastermind?
Yeah. And you joined during a pandemic.
Yes. Yeah. Again, I just like was like, I have to. Like, I just felt like it was the thing that I had to do. Oh man, I've been wanting to switch up my business forever. Like, I loved my clients, I loved being behind the chair, but I've always wanted to do kind of, when you've just been in the business for so long, you're like, what's next? Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel like salon ownership was right for me. And I didn't feel like traditional brand education was right for me either. Like, and by brand, I mean like working for a company as an educator. Mm-hmm. And so I just had this like idea, which we've already talked about. And then when the opportunity to join the mastermind came up, but I was, when you're creating something that hasn't really been done before, you're like, where do I start? Like, what's going to be the thing? And I just remember reading somewhere that like, do the thing that's going to move the needle in your business. And for me, that was joining the mastermind. Like, the relationships that being surrounded by such like kick-ass like go-getters is so like, it's life-changing. Like, it's been such an amazing experience for me just to, and be able to like bounce ideas off of, who is like one of my like, I mean, this is gonna sound real I don't know how to say this without sounding so cringe, but like one of my personal like heroes, basically. Like, you like have changed so much for me. So yeah, it's been huge. And like Rock Your Business, I felt was more, it's definitely more of like a program, right? Yeah. Whereas the mastermind, I think, has just been, it's almost like a business incubator. Like, I don't know. It's like been such a like cool place to, like, when you're self-employed, sometimes it can be very lonely, and your friends only want to hear about like your business so much, right? And like when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting something, that's literally all you want to talk about. So having people who are right there with you is so powerful.
The mastermind really is the next step after Rock Your Business. Like, you needed to know what you knew in Rock Your Business. You need that foundational work. And it's not just foundational work, but it teaches you the foundation and builds upon it. And then you can translate it, whether you become an independent educator, whether you pivot your business, whether you stay behind the chair, whether you become a boss, those sorts of things. But yeah, it's been so cool. Like, cause you were already doing your brand strategy and your Instagram education. And I just have seen it explode since you have joined the mastermind. Plus, you even started like your own, like with, like accountability group with one of the other girls in it, which I love.
Yes, totally. And it was just because it was so, like, I've seen what it can do, right? And I think the thing that was such a game changer for me too is, when you're trying to, and I know I'm going to use the word coach because I just think it's what most people, we know we hate the word coach. But like, I see so many people who are like trying to be coaches and they don't have one. So it's like, or even like that like sense of community. So I think that has been huge. Like, my belief in how much it's changed things for me has really allowed me to believe and help others.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And really, like, huge. I was just saying to someone not too long ago, like, we need to be more like linked arms, like Red Rover, together beside each other, rather than on a hilltop being like, oh, that's really cute that you're doing that. And that's some people's experience, where that's the last thing I ever want to do when I'm trying to help other people succeed. It's like, no, come up here with me and let's take this industry by storm. And let's shift the way it goes. So what can we expect next from you?
I'm working on some super exciting stuff. I'm actually almost finished my first online course. So Amazing. It's about, so my focus, like how I approach Instagram a little bit differently. This course is specific to Instagram, but that's not what I'm about in general. But yeah, so it starts with like your intentions and like how you can use Instagram as a tool without being consumed by it, and how you can connect with, because that's what I think of Instagram as, is like a connection tool, basically. Like, I don't know that many of the opportunities that I have now would be social media and wanting to be social on social media. So yeah, my online course. And then I'm also opening up some private coaching in the next couple of weeks as well. So I did have a cap on the amount of people I wanted to take in, because I really want to give like one-on-one quality, and be able to really go all in on people's businesses. So yeah, that's
I love
what's
that.
next
Do you still offer Instagram management?
I do, yes. I offer, I'm really specific on what kind of Instagram management, because I'm very different than like your traditional big Instagram companies who are like, here's your, like all about the analytics and like just posting or whatever. I'm all about like building an authentic connection with your audience. So I do offer that. And if that's something that people are interested in, then they're more than welcome to apply. And it's not just for big salons, it's also for independent stylists who just don't want to do it. I'm more than happy to. Whether you want to learn how to do it yourself or just outsource it, I do both. So
I love that. Jody, where can people connect with you after this podcast?
I'm always on Instagram, so that's probably the best place. So at It's Jodie Brown.
Okay.
And
we'll put this in the show notes so you guys can find it too.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been making some IGTVs, and there's always some good free resources at the link in my bio too. So
awesome. Ooh, what's the free resources? Give us a little teaser.
Okay, I have a couple new ones coming out actually. I have photography hacks. So 3 things you can do on your next photo, and this is from a professional photographer, to just make it pop a little bit more and just make your images a little higher quality, like real easily. And I also have a core content framework workbook. So it again teaches you how to be intentional, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you want to post. It will help you build a list that you can go back to again and again.
I love that. That's awesome. You guys should definitely go to her Instagram. It's Jodie Brown. Check out the link in her bio. Get the freebies. They're going to be so good. Thank you, Jody, for coming on the podcast. I have to say, like, watching your journey over the last year, I am beyond proud of all the things you've overcome, the things you're doing, and the things you're achieving. And I can't wait to see what's next for you and what you're going to do.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Yay. Wow. How amazing is Jody? I literally have so much fun every time I chat with her. I love her story. She started out in, such a crappy place. Life was not, from the outside, her career looked like she was doing amazing, but from the inside, she just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And that is what I am all about. I can help you with your business, and it would be so easy for me to just throw a bunch of to-dos and a list of things you should do that will make you look successful on the outside. But I know you're like Jody and I, and success on the outside isn't enough to create that feeling of satisfaction in life. And that's why my programs and what I teach and how I mentor is working from the inside out. You gotta get the inside right first before you can get the outside right. And I know you're the same kind of person where you couldn't just get any old person in your chair, or if maybe you're going into independent education, or maybe you're wanting to start your own mentoring, and you know that authenticity and realness is a key value in that. Then friend, you're in the right place. And I just wanted to remind you to get on the wait list for Rock Your Business. It is the perfect starting place, whether you're thinking about going out on your own as an independent hairstylist, whether you're working alone or you're a boss, or even if I have students that have joined Rock Your Business while still in hair school or at a commission salon. This program meets you where you're at. I have a lot of people joining who are wanting to start their own mentoring or coaching programs and things like that. And it's the great foundation. So where you're at, definitely check it out. Get on the waitlist, donbradley.com/RYB. You get hooked up majorly when on your waitlist. You get first dibs inside the program, and maybe you could be the next Jody. I would love for you to be the person I'm highlighting next, not even a year from when she made the decision to invest in herself, invest in her business, and start making changes. Although she didn't feel ready, although it didn't feel like financially the right time. You got to trust your gut on this. So if you've related to how I speak and teach and how I help people grow, and if you relate to Jodie's story, do yourself a favor and get on the wait list. I would love to see you on there. All right, until next week, go check out Jody on Instagram. It's Jodie Brown. Send her a DM, let her know that you watched, maybe you're watching, maybe you're listening, that you listened into this program. Like always, if you have been listening to this on Spotify or YouTube, or not YouTube, or on iTunes, know that you can watch these videos on YouTube or on my website at donbradley.com/podcast. Let me know what you think of this episode. I love hearing from you. Leave a review. That would mean the world. Honestly, they make my day. Leave a review, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Let's change this industry together, friend. All right, see you next week.